everything's working. So, right. Okay, back at it again. So, I wasn't here yesterday, I had some other shit that I had to sort out. But, I am back this morning with more stuff that I can faff with. So, I think I'm at a decent point now where I can start recapping what I have and where I'm at. So, as things stand, as far as in reference to my little model, I have most of the basics. The only basic I'm missing at the minute are the little domey bits at the ends. They're going to suck. I'm still trying to think if there's an easier way of doing those. But aside from those, I have like the main body of the thing, I've got the main cylinder for the top, I've got the backplate now. I also tested the backplate against the mate that's going to be wearing this, and everything fit freakishly perfectly, so that was great. And I say freakishly because I always expect it to be wrong, even though, like, I scaled all of this to her measurements, so there's no reason why it would be, but even so, it was nice to see that everything worked. So, as far as, like, the physical components, I have the main body, that's in a pretty good state. The inside, don't worry about it, I got plans. Also, talking to my friend about this, because I showed this to her for the first time on the weekend, and I'd said, like, look, I was planning to paint these pink strips black, but if you like them, I can leave them. And her intent is to continue to wear this backpack after con, just as a backpack. So she really likes the pink. So I'd said, look, if you're going to be using this afterwards anyway, and you're not looking to compete with anything, like you're just doing all of this for fun, you may as well do the backpack as you would like it, so that you can use it afterwards and really enjoy it. So she's given me free rein to keep this pink, which is awesome, because it does look really cool pink. There are also, with the emblem that goes on the back, I'd said to her, like, you know, because she enjoys, like, the sort of pastel goth type stuff. So I'd said, if you want me to do that in, like, a glittery white, then I can. And her eyes were, like, fucking saucers. It was great. So I'll be doing that in glitter white, which is exciting. But yeah, it's just one of those little things. It's fun, and it's a little bit less that I have to mess with later. So for now, this on its own is pretty much fine, really. I also have the top cylinder in a reasonable condition. I will be faffing with it a little bit, because I'm not super happy with a couple of aspects. But for the most part, it's pretty serviceable. I've still got to put some ridges on these little bits, but I think I know how I'm going to do that, and that's going to take, like, seconds. So that, not super bothered with, but this does exist, so that is a plus. Then I also have the backplate with the little paddy bits. The straps are on it already. It's just a case of attaching this to this, but I didn't do that in the end, because I realised once this is attached, it's going to be a bastard to get in and faff with anything that goes on the sides of this. So I'm doing the side bits for these first. But yeah, so I have, like, all the main pieces, really. The next bit I'm faffing with is going to be attaching the little side vent pipes to the sides of this. I did faff about this morning and add an extra ring to the inside of these, which you can see, which is fine, because the patterns for all of these were built from a model where everything aligned perfectly, there was no overlap. So when I cut all of this, again, there was no overlap. And I thought, okay, that'll be fine, because as long as I make, like, the pleather longer, I can feed that through a hole and flick it on the inside, it's fine. but it occurred to me that because this would be exactly against the main body of this, it was going to rock about and it was going to wobble. So I added a little extension, which is just over the thickness of the foam for this, so that I can slot it in and it's held tight against the foam. So yeah, that will stop it from rocking about and being a pain in the arse. So yeah, I did that for both of these this morning, off cam, because it's a lot of dust and I don't condone that sort of behaviour in a space that is enclosed and not super ventilated. So it's very much one of those do as I say, not as I do moments. At the minute, I have no choice. Heatwave still exists. But I will take the L on that front. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is clearing my damp throat because it's croaky again. Okay, hopefully that's better. Okay, not much, never mind. But yeah, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trace around the sides onto some pattern paper and then do a little bit of measuring to figure out exactly where I want these pipes to go. And then when I know where that's going to be, I'm going to draw around this, because this is pretty much the exact width of those tubes, because it is those tubes. Draw around this onto my pattern paper so that I know exactly where this is going to slot in. I could eyeball it. I don't want to. That's the long and the short of it. I don't want to eyeball it. I don't like eyeballing things. Just because I can doesn't mean that I should. And no. No, it upsets me. So I'm going to try and do this vaguely properly, although I will be drawing around this with a pencil and not a pen, because obviously we're working with the outside finished panels, so I don't want to mark anything. Although I will be messing about with it later and weathering bits and painting stuff, and so it's not like finished, but it's finished enough that I don't really want to be wrecking anything. So, that's my stance on it. So, if I can get a reasonable idea of the scale of this, then I can at least plot something that is vaguely accurate. I'm not expecting it to be like super spot on, and I don't think visually anyone's going to clock if it's like slightly out, but at the end of the day, I want to make this as close to, well, I was going to say close to perfect as possible, but even that's a lie, really. Just neat enough that you can, like, look at something and not immediately see that it's really dodgy, because that would make me sad. As much as I know that, like, there's a deliberate lack of pressure for me to do this properly, I'm still gonna try, right? Like, it's just not in my nature to do things poorly or, like, rush stuff. I'm debating whether I want to make this straighter. I'll see. I can always trim it back, because it would have been this side that I put it on. Okay. further away I've cut it. That's fine. So, I'm just going to extend that down slightly, because it is closer to that. Cool. Right. Then I'm just going to measure some stuff and figure out where to put things. Because I want it to be reasonably central to this. So, I don't expect the width to be the same the whole way down, but if I can get a decent enough idea, because that's coming out as 11.2, and down here, okay, yeah, 11.2, which is fine. That's fine. I could do this in my head, but I can't be bothered. I'm not good at holding numbers in my head. Like, if I'm writing stuff down, I'm fine, but I can't, like, I don't know. Letters, totally fine. Numbers, like, not even a little bit. 5.6, cool. Which is round about here. Okay. And then I will do the same for up here, round about there, and the same for down here. Although that then kind of devolves a little bit. So it should be around about there-ish. And then I will just connect the dots, or draw a line of best fit. And that's then a fairly reasonable centre line. Fine by me. I'm sorry that the pencil's kind of hard to see, but yeah, it's not fantastic circumstances across the board, if I'm honest. So, looking at my CAD drawing, if I were to split this in half along the length, I'll try and show you what I mean with this. So, if I'm looking specifically at this side view, I don't know how easy it is to see, but basically, that little block and the tubey thing, you can see that that side is split into two rectangles, and there's a central line that goes across the middle. So if I can divide this pattern into that similar framework, I can get a reasonable guess with where I want this tube to go. So I'm going to split it into these two rectangles first. And to do that, I just need to find a central point, which shouldn't be too bad, because actually these are fairly straight now, which is nice. So I should just be able to measure along a line. If I line that line up, okay. Can measure along here, and that gives me what? 16.7-ish. So, again, can't be bothered. 16.7, 8.35. What if I call it 8.4? So I don't think it's going to matter all that much. Cool. Then I will just do the same. That. And the same along here. That's why I like these mats, because they've got these centimetre lines across them. It's super helpful. Takes a lot of the guesswork out of things. How have I... No, it's because I did it a centimetre too far back. That's fine. There we go. Right. Then I'll just take a line that roughly kind of sort of fits between all of these-ish. Because this rectangle is not straight. But that's okay. Right. Cool. So now that I know where that line is, I can see that I want to have my tubey thing fairly close to where that line is. Probably about where this dot is, actually. So I will then draw a box to contain the tube within. So if I know that this is 4.5, I can half that, 225. So if I put this onto here, I swear this all makes sense in my head. I'm hoping it makes sense out of my head as well. 225, so about there. And take it up to 4.5, so about that. And that's where that goes. And then if I measure up from there, 4.5, that takes me to there. And then I just do the same thing. So if I at least line these up straight, yeah, that's better. So then 225, about that, to 4.5, about that. Then I know that I'm sticking my tubey thing between those two lines. So the circle will go within that. So I'll just connect these up, and then I know the exact square that I'm trying to fit all of this in. And then hopefully I can draw it to be fairly central. But we'll see how lucky I get. So yeah, and then that to me looks like a reasonable guess versus my CAD drawing. So I'm happy to just roll with that, to be honest. Don't think these exactly match. But I'm also not that bothered, because, as I say, realistically, I could have just eyeballed it. I don't like to, so I would rather do this the longer way and get a better result out of it. Yeah, because then I will just stick this on here, having a look to see whether it's reasonably aligned with everything. So my head's going to get in the way, and I'm sorry, but I want to make sure I'm doing this fairly accurately. That seems pretty good. Then I'm going to commit to making a Sharpie around it so that I can actually see what I'm doing. Sweet. Not a bad go of things. And then I can use this same piece to draft where the little rectangle bit goes, because I know that that is directly in line with this central line that's on here, this one that goes across, because it is on here. There we go. So it is on here as well. So, yeah. Where's my pattern for that gone? Because I know I had it. Because all I need to do with that is just line it up properly. Because it is this. Don't worry about the sides. The sides really don't matter. In fact, they matter so little that I'm going to remove them. Cool. So, yeah. This isn't super straight, but it's fine. Yeah, that'll be up there, like that. And I know after all my talk about not eyeballing things, I shouldn't eyeball this. But I'm also going to, because I am actually past caring at this point. Sod it. I'll connect it all properly with a Sharpie in a minute. Because I'll at least take a ruler along those edges and make sure they are straight. But really, as far as guessing stuff, that seems pretty okay. Because then I can just line it up. One of these. That. Then same sort of deal with this, although this one does actually look to be pretty straight. Cool. That's fine for now. Right. Then I just want to cut out this inner circle and figure out how I'm going to move it onto the main body. Because the thing is, I don't want to cut it to be exactly the same size, because it's not exactly the same. It's going to be a little bit trial and error, but I also want to avoid cutting away too much of the pleather, so I will probably end up having to do it from the inside. So I can poke a hole through from the outside, but then I'll have to measure stuff from the inside, I expect. Because basically, ideally, I want to have enough pleather left over that when I push it through, it takes a bunch in with it and creates a really even, like, edge. I'll see how lucky I get. If it ends up puckering and being a nightmare, then I'll have to just try and cut a circle really awkwardly. But I'll see. I'll see how it goes. Yeah. Because that's then on there, and then you get a decent idea of where everything's supposed to go. So if that's like that, this will have to be like that. Yeah, and it'll be different on the inside for obvious reasons. Okay, right. Let me think. Because I could use carbon paper to transfer the markings over rather than cutting anything. But then how easy is that going to be to get off after the fact? It should be fairly easy, I'd expect. I do have carbon paper kicking about somewhere. I'm pretty sure there's some white. But will I be able to get enough pressure on a foam thingy? Yeah, if I'm holding it, I should. At least then I know where I'm supposed to be going with it. So, that might not be a bad shout. But then I'm also wondering whether I should be approaching this from the inside, from the get-go, and just accounting for the extra, which will be pretty much that. Because I'm just thinking, I would rather tackle this from the inside, because that's where I'm going to have to cut it from. But ultimately, where it is on the outside is what's going to show. So, decisions. I think it's sensible to mark it on the outside, just so I know what I'm working with. So, let me go find the carbon paper, because I think that would be the sensible way to do it. Because that was how I did all the markings for my Fierce Deity stuff. Literally, just, I had patterns on this, carbon paper, face down, like, scratched over it with one of these, just like a little metal dental tool. And then I had marks, and it was really easy. So I'm going to go look for that real quick. So bear with me for a second, because I think I know where it is, but I might have to go on a bit of an adventure. So, while I was out on my travels, first off, I did find the carbon paper, so everything's fine. But I was thinking, marking out a circle and then trying to cut that circle is going to be a complete bastard. So, I was thinking to myself, it'd be nice if I could stamp something, right? From the other side, so from the foam side, if I could stamp something that would make that circle. And then I remembered seeing something out in the garage a while ago and thinking, ooh, that's nice. Don't know what I'd use it for, but I like it. So I took the tube out there with me, and I found this thing. And wouldn't you know, it happens to be exactly the right size for what I need, which is wild. So, yeah, that's why I hoard random objects, because you literally never know. It's slightly insane. So, yeah, that's what I'm working with now. That's pretty cool. I am wondering, though, before I commit to any of this, I'm wondering if the width of the backplate is going to have an effect on where I want to put all this. Because I've only just considered that is a factor, and whether that's going to make things a little bit weird or not. So actually, I might want to take it back slightly further, which then would work out, because it's just about that sort of width, so I can then line this pattern piece up on the inside and be correct from the get-go, which is kind of huge. But it's whether I want to count that or not. Because I'm inclined to not, because there's such a big gap here. I feel like if I get everything even on this piece, having this at the back as extra just kind of is what it is. So I think I'll stick with plan A. I'll stick with plan A. But I will fold along this line so that I can use this pattern on the reverse, and then literally stamp this with this metal thing, which is hilarious. What are the chances? So, yeah, I think I'll do that. So I will try and fold this to be as straight as I can. That seems pretty okay. And then it's this side, yeah. So if it's like that on this side, it will be the reverse on this side. So it'll be in here like that. I'm not stoked about that overhang though, because that's not a problem from this side. So maybe I will fold it slightly further, because there shouldn't be that much paper hanging over that edge. Yeah, I'm going to fold it slightly further. I'm going to try to. Okay, let's try that. Goes in there. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. Cool, right. It's going to be hard to show this, for obvious reasons, but I've lined this up with that edge internally. The top edge is also lined up. It's pushed right against that front panel, and then I am going to try stamping this and seeing what happens. Trying to get it to be as central to my line as possible. And I'm going to twist it. Kind of. I mean, it's left a decent impression. Yeah, you can kind of see. It's left a decent impression. But beyond that, doesn't give a lot. I know that that wants to be up there. Might even take it down slightly lower than that, actually. I feel like it's a little bit high up. So I'm going to end up improvising anyway, after all my faff about trying to do things properly. Whatevs. Sure, this is fine. Just feels a little bit too high. That's all. Then do I want to? No, I'm going to stick with the pattern. I'll stick with the pattern because I feel like I was right the first time, and I'm doing things sensibly, and I should continue to be sensible. I'm just going to really try and cut through this. I'm still going to have to take a knife to it, 100%, but I can get through as much of this as possible. It's going to help. So you can see the circle, just about. Then I want to think about how I'm actually going to cut through, because I need to be very careful because of the pleather on the other side. So I'm inclined to just hack away with something fairly blunt that won't cut the fabric, that I can use to tear at the foam, because it's on the inside. It doesn't have to be neat, who cares? So long as I can tear away a chunk. Then I'm going to go back in again, do another push and twist. Hopefully I can get through to the lower layers. And then hack through again. And then I'll just rinse and repeat and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, I'm through to pleather there. Through to pleather there. So I should be able to just remove this little chunk. Let's see. If I can get in and under. Because I'm trying to be careful, because what I don't want to do is tear into any of the surrounding wall, because we're going to need that. So I want to separate it from that wall without ripping that away. Cool. Okay. Here's my little scuffed circle. And then that is... There we go. That's the inside. So I'm going to cut a little bit through the pleather, but I'm going to do it in, like, snips, rather than cutting a circle, just like little strips, so that they can fold inward. There we go, tiny scissors. That'll do. Right. So I'm going to start by taking a teeny tiny snip out the front. And then I can see where it's got to go. So what I'm going to do is basically cut out a little section from the middle first. Because I'm going to be able to get away with not having a fair amount there. So I'm just going to roughly take out just a little bit from the very middle. And then after that, it'll be a case of cutting various lines. Cool. Because I want to have quite a few bits folded up and under that I can glue and keep out the way. So I'm going to start snipping stuff. I'm going to snip it until it's just shy of the line for the circle. So it's not quite up to the circle, but it's not far off. And the more lines there are, the easier everything will curve. There. So it ends up like that. And then, in theory, when something's pushed through there, it'll end up leaving a pretty neat line. So let's see whether I need to make this bigger anyway, because I might. But the aim was to keep it fairly tight, so that I am literally forcing this through onto the other side, and that is what holds it in place. So it kind of works, but I think I might need to make it slightly wider, but I don't want to do too much. Should be able to get this to work. I can stretch this around. Pretty sure. I am going to make it slightly wider. Because this top edge isn't very thick. So I don't really want to risk damaging that in any capacity. So I'm going to snip along the bottom and try and remove a little bit extra from the very lower edge. Because I can't afford to take any more away from the upper edge. No way. It's too close. So I'll just scrape some of this foam out from the lower edge. And then hopefully that'll be just enough leeway to squeeze this thing through. And because I've made it slightly wider, I am going to take the snips along just a teensy bit in those directions. Cool. Okay. Let's try that again. I'm going to fold all of that in. There we go, right. That is then in like that. Cool. Now I need some tweezers to make sure I'm pulling these bits in. Because I've got to make sure that this isn't too far through that hole. As it stands, it doesn't look too bad. Seems pretty okay. So I'll just try and grab at these bits, pull them through. Just to try and get everything a little bit more even. Okay, that's not the worst. That's not the worst. I'm not super mad with that, really. I feel like that could have been a lot worse. So, I'm going to try and secure various bits. And that's where it gets a little bit trickier. Because it's not like I can glue everything beforehand. So I don't know where it'll end up. So having to do it retroactively is a lot more difficult. Because I've got to try and pull everything through without changing where things are sitting. But as far as how much it sticks out, I'm pretty happy with that. So, now's the tricky bit. And it's going to be one of those deal with it a bit at a time sort of scenarios, so that I don't end up messing with the placement. Because it's pretty decent, all things considered. So I'm just going to hot glue it a bit at a time, leave it to cool, and then move around, pull at little bits with my tweezers, glue it, yada yada, you get the idea. And then once all of the bits from this panel are through and glued, I'll then snip the excess from the base of the tube, and same principle. And then it will not be going anywhere. And that'll be great. Pull that one a little bit. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that's going to be kind of, sort of, slightly impossible to show on camera as I'm doing it, so I'm sorry. You're kind of just going to have to trust what I'm saying. It is what it is. Do this little bit. Yeah, it's going to take me a while, but that's fine. That's fine. I feel like there was something else I needed to do today. I don't remember what it is, though. No, I'm sure that's fine. I'll check my notes later. I'm sure it's not that important. Unless it is. We'll see. I've still got this on low, so I don't know why it's taking so long to cool off. time I want it to cool off quickly. Checks out. Bloody glue threads. Right. Where are the other bits? Because I can't see for shit. There's one there. No such luck. There we go, that's better. Can't even see the ones that are down here. Whack that in there. Pretty much completely blind, but oh well. Yeah, this would have been an actual nightmare if I'd put the backplate on first. So I definitely did this in the right order. So that's fine. Starting to look like I'm going to have to go get more glue sticks. Maybe I should add that to my list. Though I think I've still got quite a few. I've not had to use any for a while. Well, until now, right? But for the most part, I just kind of have a stockpile of them, so it should be okay. Right, I'm going to start looking at snipping these bits. more bit along this side that I want to glue, and then after that I'll fold these down and glue those as well. But I want to get in this gap first. But you can see the process, right? So it's all around that edge, and then leaving it oriented like this so that it all runs down that way, hopefully. And then once that's done, it'll just be a case of folding these back and gluing those, and that'll be like properly securing it there. And it leaves the front looking real nice and neat. I'll try and orient this so it's a little more visible, because it's not as consequential with this bit. This bit's fairly easy. So, little glue dot, grab that, pull it a little bit, fold it over, just push it in there a little bit. And that's that. And I'll just go around and do that for the rest of these. That way, this is going absolutely nowhere. That's the main thing. And I expect this top one, I'm going to want to trim back a little bit. So I'll do that before I glue it. Just to make sure. And I'll try and clear up all the little glue threads. Because they're just going to end up getting caught on things, and that's going to be annoying. Right, let me trim this one slightly. Yeah, that's fine. And then that is one of the pipes in and secured and looking pretty even by all accounts. I'm not mad at that. That's pretty okay. okay. Then I'll just have to do the same thing on the other side. Hate matching things up. Hate it. That was that. And then that ended up being like that. So that was like that. It will be this way round this time. Folded in that way. Yeah, got it. Got it, got it, got it. I have to think about these things. So I will just reverse this pattern to mirror it on the other side. And then rinse, repeat. Same shtick. Now line that up with the bottom edge again. What kind of a gap have I got up here, out of interest? Because I am aware that not all sides are made equal. It's about a 2. So that's where that is. Yeah, I'll take it down slightly. Ever so slightly. Takes it to about there. Which seems about right. Yeah, looking at them opposite each other, they look pretty even, so I'm willing to bet that's probably about right. It's a shame. If this was slightly shorter, I could see exactly whether they lined up or not. Because that, yeah, it's about 2. And then that is also about 2. So I think, yeah, I think that's pretty much bang on, to be honest. So, same principle. It's just, yeah. That, and then carve out a chunk, blah blah blah. You know the drill. Wonder if I can show this a little bit better. But I'm just following that line and scraping along it to carve carve a channel. It's just safer than trying to cut anything, because it's blunt, so it's not going to do anything to the pleather. And then I'll do the same thing as before and take this back in there for another go. And then same thing. Okay, I can feel that there. Right, should be able to hook up and under this now. Pretty much got it. There we go, right. Cool. Yeah, so then it's another one of these. And then a little bit of extra faff. Just trying to carve a little bit of a wider gap, because that was what we did last time. So I am going to snip it slightly, just really slightly, just so it's easier to drag bits away. I wonder if I can get my little scissors in here. Okay, nice. That feels more effective. Also higher risk with the pleather there, so, you know, swings and roundabouts. same as last time. I'm going to cut a little bit out of the very middle. Just a teensy bit. Might even do slightly less than last time, because the longer these tabs around the edges are, the easier they are to pull through. So I might just do a tiny, tiny bit this time. Then, same principle as before. So, kind of an X shape first. And then between those, like that. And then hopefully those will all go through okay. Definitely want to take this up slightly higher, usually. And that's it. Cool, okay. So now I should be able to poke this one through, hopefully. That's better. Right. Let's see. See how lucky I get. I think that's doable. If I can get the laces through. If that looks to have done it. Still got to feed these through though. So the other side has gone through fine. This side has decided to be a dick about it. Tweezers. There we go, right. They were just stuck to each other. Okay, well this side hasn't gone through at all either, that's fine. I don't think they're stuck to each other. Yeah, no, they're fine. Cool. Cool, cool. All appears to be well enough. Sweet. Nice. Alright. I'm always surprised when things work. I don't think I'll ever stop being surprised, to be honest. Right. I am definitely going to glue all that. to go get more glue sticks. So. Just checking the orientation and making sure that I'm happy with it. Trying to line it up with the other side, but I think I'm getting a little too picky with it. As long as the vents are straight, which they are. Yeah, the vents are straight, so I ought to cut my losses and say that that's fine. Oh yeah. Yeah, I need more glue sticks. Okay. Well, fine. We'll go deal with that. Cool, right. Bear with. Because I actually do genuinely know where those are, so... glow sticks retrieved. So I will just keep gluing this. And I went outside to grab these from my workshop. And because it's like gone 8 in the morning now, the sun's up. But the sky is like just solid grey. And I'm hoping, right? I'm really hoping, because the grass is just borderline non-existent. It's majority dirt, like everywhere you go, because it's been so hot and so dry for such a long time. So I'm really hoping that it does just actually chuck it down. That would be great. I suppose... Okay, so it when I say chuck it down, I mean, like, still in relative moderation. Because if it genuinely chucks it down, the ground's too dry, and it's just going to flash flood. And that's going to be our next problem. So that's the thing with Great British weather, is you just go from one extreme to another, and nothing is ever nice. Like, ever. Like, you'll go from, like, freezing cold and pavements are just ice and it's lethal, to blistering heat waves and all the grass is dying, and like even evergreen trees are losing leaves to try and save themselves. It's been ridiculous. And then we're going to get a ton of torrential rain and everything will flood, and it's like some biblical plague shit. That's just the weather here. That's just what it's like. There is literally never an in-between. It's never just pleasant. It only exists in extremes. Super irritating. Although I will say, like, personally, I can contend with all of the other extremes. The heat is the one thing. Like, I can handle the rest. Icy pavements, not ideal. But as long as you're wearing sensible shoes and you're slow and careful, you can get about. Torrential rain, I don't give a shit. Like, I will dry off, you know? It's whatever. I'll just go out knowing I'll get wet, and that's the end of it. Rain, snow. If it's really windy, also doable. If you just wrap a scarf around your face, then you can breathe. It's when you're getting hit directly in the face with like super strong winds, it is extremely difficult to just breathe. But if you wear something to cover your face, then honestly you'll be fine. And then just choose your routes really carefully. Like, avoid going under tree branches. Try and stick to fairly wide roads where you can, because roof tiles can blow off and whack you in the head, and, you know. So just, just be sensible with it. And that's also traversable. Blah, 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 traversable. But the heat and the sun, no, absolutely not. That's just lethal. Even with my UV golf umbrella, it's still not fun. I can just about survive it in small doses if I am kitted for it. But it's definitely, like, that is my kryptonite, 110%. I can't be doing it. as well, because this keeps peeling away. That should help. Oh yeah, that fixes the whole thing. Cool. I'll do a little bit of fine-tuning with a lot of this. Particularly around these edges. Because this was really mostly done as a, will this work? But since it has, and it looks really nice, I'll just go through and, like, properly fix all of these. Unless I can go find some silver-topped drawing pins, then I'll use those instead. Maybe I'll add that to my list. Because I've got a list of a few bits and pieces that I want to have a scout about for, and if the weather is going to be actually genuinely livable today, then I might have the ability. So let me add that to my list. And then there was something else. Oh, that was it. And I feel like there was something else, but I don't remember what it was, so I'm sure that's fine. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to deal with that later. Cool. Oh, it's glue sticks. I was thinking maybe I should get some glue sticks, but I don't know. It's probably one of those things that's, like, a lot cheaper if I just get it online, so I'll probably do it that way. It was only really, like, if I was running super, super low and I desperately needed them today, then I'd pick some up. But otherwise, I'd rather be frugal, you know? It's just this awkward bit to try and get in. Kinda, sorta get into there. Better than nothing, I suppose. Right. And then I'll take it from this side as well. That's the trouble, I just genuinely can't see. So I have no idea whether it's working or not. And if I do end up going out and about later, I might also start looking for some bits that will work for all the accessories. Like, because they got like the prayer beads and stuff. So I'll look for something in that sort of vein. Just bits that I can salvage, take parts from, and build onto, etc. Because really, charity shops are brilliant for that kind of thing. They're like a goldmine for costume jewellery. So yeah, I'll wait and see. It depends. I don't want to get my hopes up, because for all I know, it could just be grey skies now, and then blistering heat in an hour for no reason. And then I'll be really sad. Because the cabin fever, my god. I am going crazy. Because I know that we had, like, the COVID lockdown and everything, but that, for me, was actually less maddening than this, because I could still go outside. I just went out when other people weren't around, and it was fine. And I could come back and most of my friends would be online because they'd been furloughed or they were working from home or whatever. So I had people to talk to, and it was honestly okay. But right now, this sucks. Because when my mates are about at the weekends, it's too hot and I can't do shit. Like, I had to cancel D&D last weekend, and I was livid. And then during the week, it's like, yeah, I just have to stay indoors without contact with other people and try not to go insane. Sucks. This weather is the worst. I'm gonna snip this one a little bit. But yeah, roll on autumn. 110%. I look forward to it every year, but this year, my god. I mean, I suppose it helps that I've also got Comic-Con in October, so that's going to be fun. It's always fun, but it will definitely be fun. It's going to be nice not to compete. Like not to slag off competing, but it's just, I get it, but it's not my scene. Like, I suppose really it's one of those, it's not the reason I do things, you know? Like, I'm very grateful for the experience, and I'm exceptionally grateful for the recognition from the judges and from everyone that was watching, and really everyone that came up to me throughout the day. on both occasions that I've competed. Like, it's great, but I don't know. It's just extremely stressful. It's extremely stressful, and I understand that it's, it was like the next step up, and something that I should have been doing a very long time ago, and something I'm very late to. And I will enjoy it in my own way, but I just don't like. It is the stress. It is just the stress. Because I'm so determined to put my best foot forward. And, like, I do that anyway, right? So, like, with this, I would not allow any judge within half a mile of this. This is nowhere close to up to my standards. But it's been fun to make. Because it's not up to my standards, or, like, it doesn't have to be up to my standards. And people will be able to appreciate it anyway, so it really doesn't matter. It's just more fun cobbling things together, you know? Like, I'm trying to get out of my try-hard frame. Because that's always been where I'm at. Fundamentally, I am just a try-hard. That is what it is. I accept my reality. I know what I am. But I do end up getting kind of lost in the sauce with it. And a lot of the stuff that I am most proud of, as far as things that I've made, are the things that are cobbled together and are a little bit ridiculous. Like, they're the ones that I enjoy the most. Finding random bits and pieces that happen to work out. Amazing. They're the best. And they'll always be my favourites. It always comes back to that, like, drunk kung fu sort of thing, where you're just kind of going through random drawers of bits and pieces, and you just happen to stumble across stuff. Like, those are always the best moments. Like, yeah, I can probably make this thing work, and then it does, and then you are just so pleased with yourself. Like, finding this random metal thing that I knew existed, and happened to be exactly the right dimensions for this. I love that. That's great. Using duct tape to make little vent flaps on these side tubes. Amazing. It's so silly, but it works. And it's been nice to go back to that with this. But also, it's been good to have it as a deadline. So I know that I have to get it done. And I can't just, like, start it and then get distracted and wander off and do other things, which I'll do anyway, don't get me wrong. But in cosplay terms, it's like, nah, this is the priority, so I have to do this. And that's a good thing. I'm glad that that's the case. Otherwise, I just wouldn't finish stuff. So, yeah, I definitely require deadlines. They are important. Okay, so that's the side tubes done. I think I will check the weather and see what the deal is. Because it might end up being a case of trying to go out early, getting some stuff, and then hopefully coming back to do more stuff. But at this point, I'm not going to say that I will be back, even though I intend to be, because I always intend to be back, and it never happens. So let me check the weather. Ooh, it's supposed to rain. Huge. Yo. Huge if true. Okay, so looking at this, it might be a plan if I aim to go out earlier, try and retrieve some stuff, and then come back to Faff with more stuff. Yeah. That's looking like it might be a plan. How long have I been going for? I feel like not long enough. Yeah, couple hours, not ideal. But also objectively better than nothing, so that seems fair. So what I'll want to be doing after this point is the little rectangle bits that come under here. And once I've snipped this, it should stop moving around so much. So that'll be nice. So it'll be the little rectangle bits that go under those. And then there is a front panel that needs to go down here. But after those, aside from the big emblem on the back, that's the majority of the main body done, which is pretty hype. So, yeah. And then I might end up not... I don't know. I won't call anything yet. I won't call anything yet because I just don't know. So, yeah. I think I will call this here temporarily. I'll go scout for some extra bits and pieces, and then I intend to be back to do more of this. So just take the intention, right? I don't know what time, but the intention exists, so yeah. I can only apologise for being wildly inconsistent. I have every intention of getting better at this at the minute. I'm just trying to treat it as, like, trying to do stuff every day, regardless. So, yeah. I will aim to be back to do more stuff. That is my want. But if it doesn't come to pass, I will not be surprised. So, I might see you later. But, either way, I'm out of here for now.